button, but we're still not late because my clock still says 7.
Yeah, we're sliding it. It was close. I wasn't even paying attention. You're right. I was on my soapbox and just on a roll, and you had to remind me, hey, it's 7 o'clock.
Well, there we go. Now I'm seeing some numbers roll in. Somebody's watching. It's taking a little bit of
Yeah.
time for it to populate. I guess I got to scoot up here so the mic will pick up my voice, right?
Yeah, well, we're kind of winging it tonight anyway. I mean, we've got a lot to talk about, but, I don't know. There's just so much to talk about. It's hard to sometimes figure out where to start and where to end.
Well, don't we wing it every night, pretty much?
Shh, don't give away our secrets. Keep that between you and I. We don't want anybody else to know.
Well, what is, I mean, and we'll just have to talk about this show announcement. I don't know. I'm not 100% that I'm down with that show announcement. We're going to have to talk about that one a little bit.
Uh-oh. Well, give me a clue as to what your issue may be so I can be getting my thoughts ready in my head. I'm pretty
Well,
quick, but it's been a long day.
well, you created it, obviously. I mean, and I give you credit. You do wonderful work. I mean, it's absolutely
Hey,
amazing.
I was
But
busy with the crayons.
I mean, but yeah, I think sometimes you may get a little carried away with the crayons, but we'll talk about that when we come back from the break. Maybe I think tonight's going to be one of those shows where you and I are going to not agree on a lot of things, and we're going to we may be going to go at each other a little bit, but that's fine too.
Uh-oh. That could be our own debate between Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief. That should be interesting for tonight.
You know you're getting old when you see a friend request from your daughter on Facebook.
Hey, she's on Facebook. Most kids aren't.
I don't. I really. I stopped accepting friend requests because I started getting a bunch, and there was. Started finding a lot of fraudulent ones, and so I would message people and ask them a question to verify that I actually know them or whatever. And and then finally, I just it got burdensome, so I just hadn't been doing it. But I guess I'm gonna have to accept my daughter's friend request.
Yeah, let's see. Mr. Sadow says you do know that Vandy, then OU are on the SEC network playing number 6, number 10 ranked teams. Yet here I am. Well, good to have you, Mr. Sadow. I don't keep up with football. It's not that I dislike football, but I don't really keep up with it. Fishing, then hunting, and that sort of stuff are my thing. But anyway, glad to have everybody that's here.
Who's going to win, Jeff?
Yeah. What's the score? Somebody give us some score updates in the comments.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So big win for everyone. Okay. Vince's
Yeah,
qualifications.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the school board. What's going on with the school board? Are they getting counsel from Jeff Darby?
Well, it's something about this hiding immigrants in the lockers. I don't know what they're up to at the school board, I guess, but I've seen something about this. And honestly, I'll have to probably search for the letter. Maybe somebody can drop it in the comments or a link or something like that. But apparently, our school board they must have seen Darby's letter and agreed with it and decided to take action.
Well, I don't know if anybody has updated them, but someone down there should communicate to the school board and the administrator that there's a new sheriff in the White House, and I'm not so sure he's real hip with all those programs and the some of what they're citing in that letter. That department probably is not even going to be there. I mean, hell, it could happen within the next 30 minutes the way things are moving.
With the stroke of a pen. Well, and this is what's always been interesting to me. So let's say, I'm just painting a hypothetical here before we go to the break. Let's say the Bossier Parish School Board literally decides to hide potentially illegal children of immigrants in, I don't know, they lock them in a classroom so the feds can't get to them. Well, when the feds come in there with their guns, what are the Bossier Parish School Board employees going to do? Are they going to call Bossier PD, and are we going to have like a mini battle? Is the sheriff's department going to get involved? I mean, is this going to be like, World War III inside the U.S.? I mean, what do they plan on happening? Have they thought this through thoroughly?
I don't know that there's been a ton of thinking going on here. I think there's been a lot of counting, but not a ton of thinking.
And when Trump, by the stroke of a pen, decides to eliminate their federal funding that they get, I mean, what are they going to do then? They're going to try to raise taxes 40% again? What are they going to do?
I don't know. Well, are we doing a break or are we just rolling straight into it?
Oh, let's go ahead and do the break. What do we got? About 65, 70 something people watching now. I see a bunch of good evenings in here. Let me throw a couple of those up on the screen. Good evening, Miss Ann. Good evening. Also, the other Miss Ann. Good evening, Miss Judy. Val Baker. Throw a few comments up here. The Colonel, Rusty Maddox, all of them. Yeah, let's go ahead and do a break. Folks, y'all know the drill. That gives you about 2.5, 3 minutes to share, tag, and all that. Duke and I are going to battle it out on our own show and have lots of other stuff to talk about, including the orange jumpsuit in the show graphic for today's show. How about that, Mr. Lowry?
Yeah, let's go with it.
All right, here we go, folks. We'll be right back.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. You know, there's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. Oh, folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, the buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Through conscious, shocking actions, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr. In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. All right. Where shall we start first? Well, let's just start. So we got a bunch of people in here, and I also wanted to give credit to David Johnson. He's been a big help to us in the past, a little bit here lately, and I don't have him in the little ad thing, but wanted to give a shout out to our good friend David Johnson because he has always supported term limits, even through the Charter Commission meeting and everything else.
Awesome. Well, hey, did you see Trump just announced a while ago, literally standing at the podium with Benjamin Netanyahu, that the United States is going to take over the Gaza Strip?
Well, I mean, hell, we took over the Gulf of Mexico. We're taking over the Panama Canal. We may as well go across the Atlantic and take over the Gaza Strip. Why not?
Well, don't forget Canada. I mean,
oh yeah,
and Greenland.
Let's just take over everything.
I mean, my mouth about hit the floor. I mean, but as I stopped and I'm kind of thinking about it, and I'm like, holy crap, I've never considered that, because all the people that are allowing all the terrorists to come in there. I mean, it's like nobody recognizes Israel, but if we took that and then all of these other countries keep letting all these terrorists come in there and they keep putting missiles out of their countries over in there, then you're doing it to the United States. Then it changes the game.
That becomes an act of war then. That's interesting.
I
But it's not necessarily a country doing it. I don't know. This is such a gray area.
Yeah, I get it, but man, so many things happening. Government is being exposed in countless ways. I can't keep up, and I got to tell you, I am glad that I am alive to be seeing some of the things that are happening right now. And I know a lot of folks that are watching the show. Y'all don't agree. You don't agree with Trump. You don't agree, whatever. But I got to tell you, you got to be getting a big old smile on your face when you're seeing Elon and rolling up all this money with this USAID thing. Like, did you know that we spent $20 million to create an Arabic version of Sesame Street?
20 million?
$20 million.
Why can't we get, well, I guess we would have to apply. Why can't we get one of these government grants? We need the help down here in Bossier. I mean, we're doing pretty good with everybody. Everybody's, been a big help and a big part of this, but maybe we should apply for these grants. But then we would be hypocritical.
Oh, absolutely. We joke about Mike Johnson and the transgender studies in Pakistan, on that. That ain't holding a candle to what they're finding. I mean, we've been funding the WEF. I mean, the George Soros Prosecutor Fund. You wonder how George Soros is donating all this money for all these DAs all across the country? Well, the taxpayers have been paying for it. Yeah. Canada, all their universities. We've been paying for all their universities too. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Well, and it's kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts. I mean, yeah, we spend a lot on military spending, on domestic programs and all that, but we spend a stupid amount of money on stupid stuff. And so, look, I'm all for it. If we can save $1 million here, 10 million there, 50 million here, 100 million there, it all adds up.
I mean, but we're taking money, taxpayer money, from everybody out here on the street. It doesn't matter. Green Party, Republican, Democrat, Independent. It don't make a damn. The federal government has been pulling every one of our tax dollars to spend on all this stupid crap. When how many people do we know that's hurting and could right here at home that need a leg up?
Yeah, I agree.
It's disgusting.
Well, I'm not totally isolationist, but I believe we need to take care of Americans first, American citizens first, and then if we have anything left over, help others. That's pretty simple. Yeah. I mean, that's what I believe.
It is that simple. It is that simple.
All right.
Hey, talking about the USAID thing, I put a link in the comments. Did you see John Kennedy's comments? I mean,
Oh no, I haven't.
Oh yeah, you got to see this, y'all. I don't know if y'all saw John Kennedy's comments, but he was interviewed, and it may have been Fox or somebody like that, and it's just, I don't know if this guy, pre-plans the stuff that he says, but he is really good. He is good at what he does.
He might do like we do and just kind of wings it. All right, well, let me see if I can get that video pulled up. Here we go. Let's see. Let me hit that button, and everybody should be able to see it. And hopefully our system audio works tonight and everybody can hear it. All right, here we go.
You get the point. I like omelets. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. Now, President Trump ran for office saying, I'm going to review every single penny in the federal budget. Now, how are you going to review the spending in the federal budget without reviewing the spending? And that's what Mr. Musk is doing. Now, many of my Democratic colleagues and some of the tofu-eating wokarati at the USAID are screaming like they're part of a prison riot, because they don't want us reviewing the spending. But that's all Mr. Musk is doing, and he's finding some pretty interesting stuff. To my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares. They better get used to this.
I mean,
I don't think he plans that out. I think he just does it off the cuff. I think he's just
and
that
I
good.
agree. I agree. Call someone who cares. And
Yeah.
we have been missing that in our politics for so long. I mean, all this stuff about let's get along to get along. I mean, look, I'm fine with disagreeing with somebody and being friends
Right.
with them afterwards, but we need to call a spade a spade. Iron sharpens iron, and we have not had enough of that in government. And I love that Donald Trump is bringing that to the forefront. And they're put everything out in the open, throw it all out there for the whole world to see. It don't matter party. Let everybody see what's been happening, and let everybody make their own judgment.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, at least Trump is, well, I hate to say, the federal government and things that happen, I mean, just these ridiculous expenditures we've been talking about, that has been going on for a long time. We can't just blame it on Biden. I mean, it's been across Republican and Democratic presidents
Yep.
and mixtures of Congress. And what he's trying to do is basically take what's been, let me not use an expletive, what's been screwed up for the last, I don't know, I'm going to say 50 years, and he's basically trying to undo it in, about 2 weeks? So
And he's about done it.
he is stirring the pot on a much bigger scale than you and I ever could. No doubt about it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I understand, I have it on good authority that you've got some questions regarding a PEC meeting that happened.
Yes, I do. So I want you to put on you're the chairman of the PEC, right? Current chairman of the PEC.
That is a matter of fact, yes.
Okay, so I want you to put on your PEC chairman hat for a little bit and take off your amateur journalist, pundit, citizen activist hat for a minute. Take off all those hats, put on the chairman of the PEC hat, the Republican Parish Executive Committee hat. Now, I want to remind everybody that the
Oh, I'm not babbling about it. Bring it.
All right, hold on. I want to remind everybody that the PEC is enabled by statute, by Louisiana law. It's 18:444. All right. Do you, as the current chairman, feel that the PEC meetings should be open meetings? In other words, invite the public and let the public attend, so on and so forth.
Well, I think yes, but I think with limitations. I mean, it's just like the Democrat Party or even the Independent Party or Green Party, if they had PEC meetings. I mean, I think it's a semi-private organization, but they are, I think bound by the open meeting law rules. And
Okay.
but government doesn't really. There's a slippery slope there and a gray area. I mean, you got to think you've got your legislature that is primarily made up of Republicans and Democrats. So there hasn't been a huge appetite to go really enforcing, restraining, the parties. And
Right.
I don't know that anybody could prevail making an argument if they said you violated open meeting laws. I don't think it would go anywhere. I don't even know that a court would hear it.
Well, yeah, fair enough. And I actually I agree with all of what you said. And like last night's meeting, I was a guest there, or just a onlooker. You had several invited guests, which were the city council candidates, and there were other guests there. The colonel was there and all that. And so, even as a former member of the PEC, I pretty much kept my peace and had to bite my tongue through a few things and all that, but didn't want to disrupt the meeting and let you, as a chairman, have an orderly meeting. So I agree with you. I've always considered the PEC meetings an open meeting, not necessarily an open forum. Everybody needs to know their place and their order, and the committee members should absolutely have priority. And as much as we pick on the city council, some rules of decorum for those meetings.
Yeah, and it was just like I'll give you an example, and I'm not going to say who in the comments, but there was one person that's not on the committee that couldn't. I ain't going to say they couldn't control themselves, but they wanted to talk a whole lot, and I said, "No, you are not recognized, and not until all of the actual members of this committee who vote are finished, asking their questions, and then, I mean, because we're conducting business, and then I would recognize people from the public if they had a question to the candidates. I'd recognize them at that point, but they would be out of order to try to jump in the middle of our business.
Right. And so here's the other side. The reason that I ask about your opinion on the open meetings is because, in my opinion, the PAC members on both the Democratic and the Republican side are elected. It's a closed system, but you're on the ballot. And I
Correct.
was one of them at one time. That costs taxpayer dollars to get that stuff on the ballot, however much it is, whatever the amount is. Both the RPEC and the DPEC are sustained largely by funds that are from the qualifying fees for the candidates. It's actually a split, if I remember correctly, a split between the clerk of court's office, the RPEC, and the DPEC. So the clerk of court's office, if I remember correctly, gets 50%. RPEC and DPEC each get 25% of those qualifying fees. Is that
I don't
correct?
remember. Yeah, I don't. You're describing it correctly. The percentages, I can't say that that's accurate on the percentages, but the fact that there's the fees that the clerk of courts charges, yes, there's that. But if you choose to run for office and you choose to qualify as a Democrat or a Republican, there is a fee. It was adopted by the legislature and put into effect that you pay those fees so that you can run as a person affiliated with those parties. And you know that's just the way it has always been.
Right.
That's delineated by the legislature.
Okay. Now, the only place I took issue last night, and I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I do want to mention it. There was, some discussion about Vince Maggio, of course. I mean, about all the city council, and in fairness, the Republican Executive Committee gave each candidate the opportunity to speak. I believe all of them were invited, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We posted a post on social media. We advised all of our members, and all of our members could or could not communicate. And I would find it hard to believe. For as long as I've been on the PEC, we've always had our meetings the first Monday of the month.
Right.
Always.
Yeah.
It's a regular thing. Candidates always come seeking political endorsements. It's no secret that we would be, considering endorsements. So
Okay.
if
So
they came, great. If they didn't come,
So one of the PAC members, again, who is elected, and I'm gonna say his name. And look, I'm good friends, or pretty good friends with Rusty. I think he's a great guy. But Rusty had some of the issues with the, let's just say, accusations or whatever that were made about Vince Maggio, all of which were true, by the way. And so correct me if I'm wrong, Duke, but the PEC was going to vote or possibly vote if a motion was made on endorsement of candidates in each of the council district races and the at-large races. Did I say that correctly?
correct. And a motion was made. A motion could have been made to endorse any candidates that are running. All of the members are they can bring any motion that they want. That's the way we have conducted the business in the PEC for years, and we'll continue to conduct the business of the PEC. And a motion was raised to endorse Ruth Pope Johnson. We did it a little different than what we normally do. Normally, we have the candidates speak to us, and then we will debate and take question and answers immediately after those candidates for a particular race speaks. Because we had so many there, I, as chairman's prerogative, changed it up to let all of them speak, and then in the end, just have a round robin on questions. And once the questions were final, then members could make motions as they felt inclined to do regarding endorsements, and to which an endorsement of Ruth Pope Johnston was made, and that's where it went.
Okay. And so then Rusty made a motion, I believe, to do a secret ballot. Is that correct?
That is correct. He didn't really make a motion. He made a request to conduct the vote on that particular council race by secret ballot. And, at first, as the chairman, I mean, it's kind of the chairman's prerogative to how the vote will go. And, I wasn't opposed to it, but I had not given it any consideration. It kind of caught me off guard, if you want to know the truth.
Right.
But before we could dispense with that, there was another motion that was made, a motion to table the whole thing. We dispensed with that. That motion failed in tabling it. And interestingly, Rusty didn't want to table it. He wanted to have the vote. Let's go ahead and move forward with it. Let's vote. But he was insistent on wanting to have a secret ballot. And I didn't particularly have a problem with that.
Right.
It was brought to my attention and admittedly, I did not know. I should have known, but I don't know. I'm not saying I'm 100% wrong still yet. I know what I saw. I know what I read that was provided to me, and it did say that you can't hold a secret ballot vote or a no vote, like that.
Right.
But whether that provision in the RNC rules applies to a local PEC or not, I'm not 100% because we have our own rules.
Yeah, and so I want to be clear because honestly, I brought it to your attention, and I did it in a non-disruptive way. I'd like to point out too, I was trying not to disrupt the proceedings, but I wanted you to be aware of that, or at least make the members aware if you chose to. So, according to the RNC guidelines, it says in Part D, because this is under Robert's Rules of Order, the RNC has adopted, and that's the RNC, you're correct, and of course, not the local PEC, but the RNC has adopted Robert's Rules of Order, and part of Robert's Rules of Order is that no votes except elections to office when properly ordered pursuant to Robert's Rules of Order shall be taken by secret ballot in any open meeting of the RNC or any committee thereof. So, yeah, I wanted you to be aware of that, but you're correct that I think y'all have the ability, and I guess the Democrats on their side have the ability to set your own rules. And you've never, even when I was on the PEC, we always used and deferred to Robert's Rules of Order, but I don't remember us ever making a motion to adopt Robert's Rules of Order, unlike the City Council, I would like to remind everybody, that absolutely has on more than one occasion.
So let me get in here. Yes, Ryan Haygood, I am now deep state. That's fine. You can go ahead and I'm deep state. But what I would say, and so having that brought to my attention, and it was nice to have a parliamentarian there to keep me square. I brought it to the attention of the members, and I said, I will leave the decision as to how to proceed with the membership or whether you want to. The truth of the matter is it wasn't going to matter because the way the votes had to go, when you have two Republicans in a race, there is a high bar to get the endorsement. It's intentionally set that way. I have my own opinions, and I may give that here in a little bit, but it's a high bar. And it probably wasn't going to be made anyway. So I left it to the discretion of all the members of whether they wanted to proceed with the secret ballot or go ahead and have a voice vote. They, by majority, chose they wanted to continue with the secret ballot. We did it, and the motion failed. It failed because it required a 2/3 vote, and it didn't get a 2/3 vote. Ruth Pope Johnston got a majority of the Republican PEC, endorsement, but she didn't get to the 2/3. So
no official endorsement.
So no official endorsement.
Okay.
Well, anyway.
And look, so of course the joke is, and Ryan Haygood's already kind of leading into it, but the joke here is, Ryan, I had flashbacks of our Viva Voce show and the Charter Commission. And I don't know what is Rusty. Was he learning from? Was it Vicky Whitman on the Charter Commission appointed by Vince and their whole secret ballot ordeal in a literal open meeting, which you can't do secret ballot, and that spawned the whole groundhog meeting where they had to go back and redo everything. Even though, well, anyway, I digress. So,
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, look, Rusty's my friend, and he had his reasons of why he wanted to do a secret ballot, and that's fine. Maybe, I try to be as unbiased as I can while I have my opinion and who I'm going to support, and I make no bones about it. I am not going to support or vote for Vince Maggio. I'm not going to do it.
right.
I think Vince is a great person. I mean, I think him, his family, his wife, and all of them, I think a lot of them, they do a lot for the community. But at the end of the day, my personal opinion, Duke Lowry, when you choose to ignore your oath of office and you put your personal interests ahead of the public, it doesn't matter if you only did it one, I mean, or if you did it twice or however many other good things. It only takes you doing one time that makes you unqualified. And
Right.
by my viewpoint, he's unqualified. And arguably, I'm not convinced that the Republican Party shouldn't censor him.
Okay, I can't
It
disagree with
it
that.
was offensive to me what he did and what he's
Well, and
continuing to do.
yeah, it wasn't just a vote that, let's say you or I or anybody else in the audience watching disagreed with on a budget issue or a Manchac issue. I mean, they literally voted repeatedly. Not just voted, they actually ignored and voted repeatedly not to put something on the ballot, not to move something forward that is required in their charter. And as we have covered ad nauseum, the word says shall. So,
Look, here's the bottom line for people. I was there when Tommy, Vince, all of them stood right in down there at the at the complex, and they swore an oath to uphold the city charter. So
right,
when it says you, as an elected official representing the people, shall do something, and you make the conscious decision to say, I'm not going to do that, you're violating your oath of office. Your sworn oath to the people. I don't care how many dumpsters you put out on the streets at your own expense. I don't care how much trash you go pick up on the street. I don't care if you donate the most to charities and all of that. You fail when you don't uphold your oath. When you swear that you're going to uphold something and do it, and you don't do it, you turn your back on the people, you lose your credibility just like
yep,
that. That's part of this.
I agree. Say it louder for the folks in the back. So look there, folks. That was part of our debate tonight. And Duke and I said from day one that we would hold each other accountable sometimes as things happen. So I wanted to mention what I observed again as a guest at the RPEC meeting. Duke, thank you as the chairman for clarifying that, and would like to invite anybody in our audience who would like to attend, come to the next PEC meeting,
I, and I yeah,
observe what goes on.
and I think folks should. There is a lot that comes out of these PEC meetings. You'll normally, actually last night, some folks that were there that don't normally come, they were kind of like, wow, they thought that was something about, it was a little confrontational. That was
Right?
nothing.
Oh yeah,
Was
that
not.
was nothing compared to some of the meetings.
No, that was nothing at all. But I do want to bring up one more point, and it was to my mindset on the secret ballot thing and why I didn't have any. And that comes part of my time serving on the PEC. And there's some of folks in the comments, they were there, they'll remember this.
Mm-hmm.
But I can remember on the PEC a time, and I'll say some names of some politicians that y'all might have heard of that were on the PEC, and some other names. Richard Ray,
Oh,
Bobby Edmonston, Mike Johnson. I think Jeff Thompson was on it at that time. Of course, Mike Collier, Ann Price. And I can remember us taking secret ballot votes on Jeff Landry for Attorney General against Buddy Caldwell. I mean, we took a bunch of secret ballot votes back then. So,
well, and maybe so
that
was before my time, but I can say that during the 4 years that I was on the PEC, we did 0 secret ballots because I would have gone ballistic over that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the reason that we didn't have the secret ballots, that I would have gone ballistic. I'm saying I would have absolutely remembered that. But anyway, so yeah.
Well, nobody had any major objection to it.
Right.
They didn't, at least they didn't voice it last night. So if anybody had had a major objection to it, I probably wouldn't have done it, but I really didn't hear that.
Okay. So that kind of segues into, we were talking about the, what was going on with the March and May ballot. And so I think, let me bring up real quick, let's watch this video from KSLA, and it's about 2 minutes long. Let's watch this video. It's got some sound bites from Lewis Johnson, who's, of course, a public information officer, and it's got some sound bites from Jeff Sadow in there. But I want everybody to listen to this, and then I'm going to give, after we have a little discussion, I'll give what I think should be our official position as far as you and I think we agree on this, on the ballot issue. So let me see if I can get this video to play, and then, here we go.
New at 10 in your vote. After years of debating for the needs of the city of Bossier, Bossier City voters will finally see term limits on their ballot this March. KSLA's Miracle Garrett has more about the potential changes in Bossier City.
It puts term limits exactly where he thinks that they belong, which is in the hands of the people.
March 29th of this year, Bossier City voters will finally see term limits on their ballot.
Yeah, there's going to be a big sea change in Bossier City government.
Bossier City Mayor Tommy Chandler ran unopposed and will move forward into his second term. Mayor Chandler supports the controversial topic of term limits for city officials. 3 Bossier council members, David Montgomery, Don Williams, and Jeff Free, did not run for re-election.
He's also excited about the fact that there will be a change in local politics, as a number of council members will be replaced. So he'll be looking at a relatively new council.
As far as the future of the landscape of politics for Bossier City, Jeffrey Sadow, an associate professor at LSUS, says the change in city council will be impactful in multiple ways.
I just think a lot more transparency and openness we're going to find, generally speaking, and you'll see it more specifically in terms of much less capital spending, more openness to contracting and things like that.
They've seen both the good, the bad, and the ugly as it relates to the challenges and what happens when bodies work together, and they've seen what happens when bodies don't work together.
Many Bossier City Council members fought hard to keep term limits off of the ballot, and now most of them are not running for re-election.
2 of the 3 have served for well over 25 years. I would say that they feel that their duties of service to our community has been well served, and I'm sure that they plan to remain active in supporting Bossier City.
I think there was just such bad publicity about it that they knew that there was going to be an uphill road to get reelected, and so they just deferred.
Miracle Garrett, KSLA News 12.
At 10.
Okay.
So I'd like to point out real quick that for a change, it wasn't Wes or the Colonel or you or me in those videos, or Cassie. So I'd just like to point that out. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, that is amazing. I had no idea that the Bossier Term Limits Coalition was responsible for the term limits on the March ballot. I mean, did you not see Tommy Chandler holding the shirt up? Say it.
Right.
I mean, am I missing something? Did I hear anything about the May term limits? I didn't hear a word about that. So is KSLA and the Bossier Press Tribune, are they in league here? I mean, and Jeff Sadow's not talking about term limits. He's talking about the overturn of the city government in Bossier.
Yeah. So Sadow, did they edit that? Well, so Sadow's in the comments, so let us know, Jeff. Did they selectively edit some of your comments? I mean, what all did you actually discuss? Because you're right. KSLA has put out a couple of good videos and articles. There's no doubt about it. But that one article blurs the line in the March and the May ballot issue. So while Jeff is trying to gather his thoughts and let us know in the comments, I'm going to switch
maybe we
screens
should
here
ask
in just a
Hal.
second.
Maybe we should ask Hal. I'm sure he has the answer.
Yeah, Mr. Stay out of news and blogging for 2 whole years and then jump back in when we turn the heat up. But I digress. Remember, we're dead to Hal. Although I will give him credit. Always got to give credit where credit's due. We have shared a couple of posts from Bossier Now where he had some really good information. So I'll give credit where credit's due, but, you know, he still hasn't undeaded you and I from him or whatever. Anyway, so let me see if I can switch screens.
I like your language, Jerry. Hijacked. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Hijacked. That is it. Let's see. Let me get this dragged over here and let me expand it a little bit and then let me hit the button and it should poof up on the screen. So just for everybody watching, and we're well north of 125, 130 people. I will post this on Bossier Watch or the Bossier term limits eventually within the next day or so. But here's the basic thing. The real term limits in May are the ones from the People's Petition. Of course, we strongly recommend voting yes to the term limits that will be on the ballot in May. As a reminder, again, a lot of you know this, but as a reminder, we submitted 2 certified petitions to the City Council, and both times the recalcitrant 5 on the City Council, Montgomery, Williams, Darby, Free, and Maggio, violated the city charter and law to avoid simply letting the people's petition items go to the ballot box. If they would have done that one single thing, just put it on the ballot like the charter says you shall, we would have nothing to talk about on Bossier Watch much as far as the city council goes. So they did this to themselves. All right. They did this multiple times in public meetings, prompting the Second Circuit Court of Appeals to state in their ruling that malfeasance, which is a felony, may have been committed. We don't feel that bad behavior and potential illegal activity should be rewarded. The Charter Commission's goal ended up being to thwart the will of the people and confuse the public with a watered-down version of term limits and some token changes to the city charter, some of which may also be illegal, that whole penalizing the whistleblowers thing and all that. So we strongly recommend voting no in March to what I'm calling the fake term limits in the charter. Does that pass your muster, Mr. Lowry?
It does. I mean, the bottom line is this March term limits thing is nothing more than the fake term limits to try to deceive the public. And too many people are going to go out there and they're going to vote for it thinking that this is, and that was the plan all along. That was part of their plan, and they're going to do it. But the real term limits, the people's term limits, the petition, May. And these guys knew that. They finally thought that they were going to be able to stop it completely, and they were proved wrong. And I would challenge any of you, and to all those people putting those Vince Maggio signs up. And you know how in political campaigns, you know how, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, how y'all are going to get the mail pieces, and you're going to have the sheriff, you're going to have the marshal in the city of Bossier, you're going to have Skylar Marvin, you're going to have Bobby Edmondson, you're going to have all these politicians. I support Vince Maggio. Vince Maggio is this. Vince Maggio is this. Vince Maggio is this. I want you to ask them to define for you what the city charter means when it says you shall send this to a vote of the people. Get them to explain to you, to everybody who's going to do that. I don't care if it's a supporter of his that isn't an elected official. Ask them to define for you what part of that gives Vince and Darby the ability to disregard the law. What gives them the right to be above the law? You can't do that.
Yeah,
You couldn't. What makes them different? I challenge you to challenge them. And if I'm curious if these politicians are going to get on out there, and that's fine. Y'all can get out there. At some point, I'm going to ask you if I see you or I get you, and I'm not. You're welcome to come on the show, and you're welcome to say and explain it. I would love to hear, what you perceive that definition is, and if in fact, I don't expect the district attorney to do it, but if in fact these candidates are ultimately brought up on malfeasance charges and are convicted, you still going to be backing that? I mean, so essentially what you'll be saying is that you're endorsing certain people to be above the law. That's part of why we started this show, was to root this out. And I don't want to have to go there. I really don't. But it would appear that we may be going to end up having to go there.
Well said, Mr. Lowry. So that's the deal. And
pulse in my face going.
And Annie Monica said it best: no in March, yes in May. That's as simple as it gets. Vote. We've got several city council candidates running, several at-large candidates running, so vote for the candidate of your choice. We'll give our opinions on all that, of course, but on the term limits and ballot petitions, Andy said it best: no in March, yes in May. Period. Full stop. All right.
Well,
so,
and I would furthermore, and I don't know, I may be jumping the cat here. We did put out a request for signatures of people calling on the district attorney to impanel a grand jury to determine whether to charge all of these councilmen with malfeasance or not.
Right.
I will say that we have gotten well into the hundreds. I don't think we're going to say how many hundreds that we have gotten, but we have gotten well into the hundreds that have signed, that petition. And I would encourage people to, if you have signed it, get some other citizens that are like-minded and feel like that it should be investigated. I mean, because I don't care who it is. If it's you, Rex, and you're breaking the law, you should be held to account for it. Everybody should be held to account. Nobody should be, there should be one equal playing field for everybody in this city. There should not be a double standard. And any politician who is agreeing to have a double standard, they need to be run out on a rail. And we may not be strong enough collectively, all of y'all watching this show, and with our little Bossier narrow cast, as Jeff Sadow calls it, we may not have enough juice to get it done, but it's not going to be because we don't point out your hypocrisy.
Yeah, I agree. And so I've got the Bossier Term Limits page, website pulled up on the screen. All you have to do is go click on that red button right there that says sign the DA letter for malfeasance. Now, this doesn't legally obligate the DA, the district attorney, to do anything, but collectively these letters, when they get sent to him, will carry some weight because, he's got to pay it. Well, I guess he could ignore it, but he should absolutely pay attention to it. And I would like to say, because you mentioned or hit on a couple of points there, this has been a collective effort since day one. And I don't want to go down the pathway of the whole history of Bossier Watch and all that tonight. We've actually done it before. But this is, like we keep saying, the whole goal of Bossier Watch all along. We said it in the very first few minutes of the very first show, was to give everybody kind of a behind-the-scenes look on how politics go around Bossier and add our bias, add our punditry, if I can say the word correctly, to that and give our opinions on that. We are biased. We are opinionated. What we give everybody a vehicle and a platform to comment. We really don't moderate the comments unless it's an obvious troll or something gets out of hand, but I can count on one hand the number of times we've ever had to do that. And that's what this is been all about all along. And the idea for Bossier Watch has been brewing for many, many, many years. And just everything came together with you and I to put this together and put this show on. And well, here we are.
And you know, that was something a long time ago that we saw was that there were so many like-minded people. They wanted good government. They wanted things to change, but it was like everybody wasn't cohesive. They were on a different page, going different directions. And one thing, you know, Jim Wells with My Bossier had a unique platform in the past that enabled people to, you know, give their opinion and views without the fear or worry of retaliation. And in some senses, that is what has happened here. That has been missing. And, you know, I would say that this is putting it on steroids, but the whole movement is not Rex and Duke. This whole thing, we're just the two regular guys like all of you, except we're putting the time and the effort in and doing this. But it's not, all of this that's happening is not because of us. It's because of the collective of energy of all of y'all going along. You're doing your part, and believe it or not, it's cohesive and it's working and it's going together. It's making change, and that's how it's had to be.
Yeah, all we do is every Tuesday night everybody gathers around and we watch this show and listen to me and Duke stir the pot every Tuesday night. That's literally all we do. And you're right. It's a whole collective effort, and I don't want that to get lost on anybody at all. Every view that you make, whether you comment or not, every comment that you make, every like, every share, every neighbor that you tell about is what is helping facilitate this change. Every article you read from, even though he's dead or we're dead to him, every article you read from Bossier Now, or every article you read from Satire, or every video you watch that Wes is in, or the Colonel, all of that helps. Every meeting you attend, even if you don't speak, all of that helps. Okay. Enough of the cheerleading and the soapbox.
We are the Borg.
We are the Borg. Hey, I think this might be the time to play that little short video that you wanted to play.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
All right, so folks, this is like a 5-second clip. There is an expletive that I've kind of muted down. So, you know, if you've got tender young ears or whatever, you may want to put your fingers in your ears for just a minute. But Duke found this video or saw it or whatever, and, you know, I agree with him. This pretty much sums it up in a nutshell. So here we go. We'll play it twice.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's going to be biblical.
One more time.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's got to be biblical.
So I think that sums up this entire effort by everybody in just a few seconds. That sums it up. Good job, Mr. Lowry.
I agree. All right. So what's all this hubbub about Vince's qualifying affidavit? I don't get it. What's the big do? What's the brouhaha here?
Well, all right. So let me set the stage for this.
I know I'm deep state and all according to Haywood, but I'm sorry. I guess I don't have the cipher to figure it out. So go ahead, bring me up to speed.
All right. Well, let me do a quick rundown of the scenario. So as everybody knows, to qualify for city council or any other office, you have to go to the clerk of court's office, fill out a qualifying form, pay a fee and all that, and, you know, officially qualify or that you're going to run for a particular office. That's all qualifying basically means. And you attest that I think you don't have a felony and whatever the boxes are that you have to check. Okay. You only have a certain number.
Do they have the not yet box?
The not yet felony box. See there.
Yeah.
You're referring to my orange jumpsuit that you said you didn't like. I'm so confused.
Sorry. I couldn't resist. You baited me up there. Go ahead. So just put the carrot right out there for me.
And so there's only, a certain number of days, and it's just a few days that you have a qualifying period. And it was, several candidates didn't requalify for any office. Jeff Free did not. David Montgomery did not. Bubba Don, which was already kind of being reported that he was probably not. Bubba Don did not. And it was kind of looking like Vince may or may not. Now, let me put this the correct way. So Vince had some family issues, and I think it's well known to everybody that he had to attend a funeral. I think it was his mother-in-law passed away. And look, we may not agree with Vince politically, but our sincere condolences out to his family. So this has nothing to do with, the funeral and what he had to attend there per se. But apparently, because it's public record now, apparently Vince also had some health issues, and so he was not sure he was going to be able to make it up to Benton to qualify. And that's kind of setting the stage. Did I pretty much set the stage correctly?
Well, that's allegedly what all was going on and what happened. To our knowledge, that's what happened.
Okay. Well, so let me get my screenshots prepared here, and let me make sure I've got my notes. I'm following along with the notes. All right, so with all of that said, Vince qualified to run for city council. And we were like, okay, well, how did he do that? Well, lo and behold, the rumor was circulating around. We got some messages and all that Richard Ray had actually qualified for Vince. So I sent in, or we did, as part of Bossier Watch, a public information request Sunday to the clerk of court's office. They promptly responded Monday morning. I think it was about 11 o'clock, something like that, Monday morning. And they sent back the copy of the qualifying form and the affidavit. So give me just a second, and I'm going to pull that up. Let me get the screen going. All right, here we go. And so this, even though it shows his address or whatever, this is all public information. So it is what it is. So here's a qualifying form. And you can see, maybe a little hard for some of you to read if you're on mobile, but I'll try to walk everybody through this. So you can see here's the candidate information, his address, his telephone number, email address, etc. And this was recorded on January the 30th at 4:23 p.m. So I believe that was Thursday evening is when it was recorded at 4:23 p.m. Total amount as qualifying fees were $450. I mean, that's all standard stuff. That's not a big deal. Party affiliation, etc. Here's where things get interesting. Look down here at the notary that notarized this. Can you read that, Mr. Lowry? Can you see the signature?
I see Zamboni model 1995, I think. Am I reading that correctly?
I think you just nailed it.
Okay.
It is notarized by none other than Charles Jacobs. Well, okay. Maybe that's not so bad, right? Maybe he had to have a notary or whatever, and, Charles just happened to be there. Well, here's where it gets interesting. This is page 2. This is the agent affidavit. And honestly, I had never paid attention to the qualifying forms to realize that you could do this. But there is an agent affidavit, which, simplifying it, gives someone the ability to file the notice of candidacy to qualify on behalf of someone else. And so here it is. I, Vince Maggio, do hereby attest that none other than Richard R. Ray has the authorization and consent to file this notice of candidacy on his behalf, Vince's, for election to the office of Bossier City Council District 5. Vince Maggio. And it's signed by, supposed to be Vince. And again, I want to point out, he is authorizing Richard Ray to do this on his behalf, and he's got Charles Jacobs notarizing it. I mean, look, I'm sure this is completely legal. I'm sure it is. I mean, it's definitely an authorization form. It is part of the process. It can be done. But did nobody think about what the look was going to be? When you have the sitting assistant city attorney and the city attorney qualifying on Vince, the paperwork on Vince's behalf and notarizing the damn form. Now, there's your deep state there, Mr. Haygood. That's what you want to call it for the Bossier deep state. I mean, how much more tied in can he be? Now, I want to bring this up as well.
Well, I have a, wait a minute. Hold up.
All right,
We gotta stop.
all right, go ahead.
I got a question for you. Would they have done that if he was going to run for mayor?
Well, a good question. I've got a question. Is that service and ability, was it open to any candidate running for office? Was it open to Cliff Smith? Was it open to Ruth Pope Johnston? Was it open to Miss Deborah Ross? I mean, that would have saved them the trip up to Benton. Saved them the gas money, saved them the time. They could have been out knocking on doors.
I guess we'll see on the campaign finance report if they charged him for it and whether or not it's an in-kind donation. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, yeah, there's a question. Were they acting in their personal capacities? Were they acting as a city attorney? But I've got something that might actually clue us into that as well. So, but I apparently was not, or we weren't the only people that had this particular idea. Our good friend, Mr. Deep State himself, in the comments, Ryan Haygood, had this idea. And he sent in a public information request. And Ryan, you can clarify in the comments. I think you sent yours in maybe Monday morning or whatever it was. Anyway, so Haygood sent his request in to, I believe, the mayor's office as a public information request. And guess who responded? None other than Richard Ray. And this is a long, convoluted email. We're going to post this, but basically, I want to read at least some of this. Dr. Haygood, please consider the following response to your request for records made earlier today. I will provide you with some factual information or factual background so that you have a clear understanding of what actually happened. Not false information based on distortions and conjecture that seems to be so prevalent in our area in recent years. Now, I got to take a time out right there. I just showed everybody on the screen share the actual qualifying form and the affidavit. I don't know how that is false information at all, and simply asked a few questions. That's all. How is that false information, Mr. Lowry?
Well, I don't know that he's talking about us. We haven't put anything out there regarding this, but I don't know that anybody's put anything out there regarding this. So I'm really curious about who or what he's talking about. I mean, it would seem that he is a part of the sewing circle and the grapevine rumor mill because he's hearing it. But anyway, carry on. I'm sorry.
All right. Now, I want to point out something else. I'm going to put the little finger pointer up there at the top of the screen. Notice, this is an important distinction because words matter, right, Richard? So things that you do in email matter. He sent this from his official city account. So the way I read this, he's describing what actions he took and what transpired, and he's doing it from a bossiercity.org domain, which to me is acting on behalf of the city as the assistant city attorney. Now, again, I'm no lawyer. I just act like one on Facebook sometimes, but I'm just pointing this out. No misinformation, no false information, no distortions. I'm just pointing out what email account he sent it from. All right, here we go. And Richard, if this is not correct, if this is not the correct email, you're free to come on the show. You've got all of our phone numbers. All right, to continue on. And this is why I say this is public information. He sent this from a city address. Therefore, his emailed response to Haygood is public information too. So Richard says, last Thursday morning, Vince Maggio was transported by ambulance to the hospital for a medical emergency. I attended the funeral of his mother-in-law that morning and learned of his hospitalization after the funeral was concluded. A member of the family relayed to me that Vince wanted me to visit him in the hospital. I went to the hospital, Willis Knight and Bossier, and met with Vince, and in that meeting, he requested that I, Richard Ray, serve as his agent to deliver his candidate qualifying form to the Bossier Parish Clerk of Court. As the day progressed, Vince learned that his visit to the ER was likely to turn into an unplanned hospital admission, and he was worried that he may not be discharged in time to make it to Benton before the period of candidate qualifying ended the next day. Okay, fair enough. Were you doing it on behalf of the city, acting as an assistant city attorney? What were you doing, Richard? Because that is the real question. Louisiana law. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Anyway, go ahead. I got a criticism, but I'll go ahead.
Okay. Continuing with Richard's email, Louisiana law, specifically revised statute 18:463, allows a designated agent to deliver the qualifying form to the clerk of court as explained at the top of the form. Councilman Maggio signed the proper forms in the presence of a notary public, Charles Jacobs, and provided me with his qualifying fee. I was asked by Mr. Maggio to help him in a time of need due to his emergency hospitalization, and I was honored to help him. Vince is a person who spends a great deal of his own time and his own money helping others, but rarely asks others for help. Sounds more like a campaign plug, but I digress. All right. This was an incredibly stressful day for him. Agreed. As he was hospitalized and forced to miss the funeral and burial of his mother-in-law, Josephine Peters, a person who lived in his home and whom he shared a very close personal relationship. So I want to pause right there. I'm not saying it wasn't stressful for Vince. I hate that he had to go through a hospitalization and miss the funeral of his mother-in-law. And again, sincere condolences to all of the family that's affected by that. So we get that part of it. So I want to make that crystal clear. But continuing on, I was proud to be able to help Vince that day, and I would do it again given the opportunity. Attached are the documents relating to it, blah, blah, blah. These documents are publicly available through the Bossier Parish Clerk of Court and therefore not subject to disclosure as a public records request. That's kind of odd. But, and I highlighted, are provided to you as a courtesy pursuant to your request, as is the rest of all the drivel that he had up there. Pursuant to the request of the clerk, I provided copies of both the front and back of my driver's license, as well as a copy of Mr. Maggio's. We don't care about the driver's license. I was told by one of the deputy clerks that those documents would be shredded, but I have no idea whether they were or not. I did not retain copies. Again, from our standpoint, we don't care about the driver's license copies. Other than what has been provided as a courtesy, there are no records responsive to your request. And I again want to point out, what signature did he use down there in this email?
Yeah, he did. But I mean, Haygood sent the public information request to the city. So, I mean, it would be, he didn't send it personally to Richard Ray. So it would be practical that he would get a response back.
But why didn't Richard Ray just send the records responsive to the request, say, thank you, Dr. Haygood, here they are, and that's it? Why the whole soliloquy?
Look, I will concede it looks like crap, but I got to tell you, I feel dumber for listening to all this. Because I'm sorry. Is there any question about what side of the fence Richard Ray and them are on? I mean, who's surprised by it?
I know. Wait, time out for a second. Time out. Hey, good. I need you to put another deep state comment about Duke so I can flash it up on the screen.
Yeah, call me deep state, but I mean, what's the big deal here? I don't get it. I mean, so what? I mean, I have no illusions about where Richard Ray and Charles Jacobs stand.
Oh, I agree.
They're
I
not on
agree.
my team. They're not on what I say is the public's team. And Vince is not on the public's team. Does Vince do good community things? Does he put dumpsters at his own expense within his district? Yeah, he does. But you know what? The truth of the matter is if you were a good politician, you wouldn't have to be spending your own damn money to do that. You would have your city government that you're running making sure that it was done.
Ooh.
That's what it is. That's what it's about to be a good public servant. I mean, and
preach it, brother. Preach it. I take back my deep state comment now.
I mean, I feel like I'm on a damn ride at Disneyland or some shit here. Pardon my French. Keep going.
Now, so we're going to address this other deal. And, well, here we go down this rabbit hole because there have been some questions like Rusty Maddox just asked. Did Ray and Jacobs both go to the hospital? That's a valid question. So I'm going to put these up. So this is Vince's signature from 2023. Pulled from one of his campaign finance forms. It's all public record. This is Vince's signature from 2024. Notice, look, pretty similar there. And I'm no handwriting expert at all. This is a signature from 2025, January the 10th of this year. Again, very similar. Notice how the writing is and all that. And this is a signature from that dadgum form that we just looked at. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. That's it. I'm putting it out there for commentary. That's it.
Huh. I don't know. I'm no handwriting expert.
I'm not either.
I am not. I mean, look, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because if Vince Maggio is called to carpet to say, did you or did you not, sign this or do whatever, he's going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to say, yeah.
And either way, he gave them permission. There's no doubt about. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So it doesn't really matter. I'm just putting it on the screen, folks. Y'all decide. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And I agree with you, Duke. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, if people want to vote for somebody who will just knowingly break the law, not follow the charter and just ignore it, and if they want to support elected officials who support this activity by elected officials, then by all means, it goes to, and we keep talking about just Vince. I mean, Darby's right here too. I mean, and there's plenty of comments, plenty of public comments by these folks, about their intent. They can say that or try to waffle and say, well, it's based on advice from attorneys or this or that or whatever. Well, that contradicts some of the other comments that you've made through the course of this thing. Just because, anyway, it's all in public record.
Yeah, it is.
We'll see how it all shakes out at the end of the day.
Yeah, y'all can go download the same documents. These are not super top secret. We're not sharing information that's not public record anyway. But I think Haygood actually sums it up pretty good here, so I'll put this comment up. Rules for the peasants, not for the deep state. Let them eat cake. So, that's the deal on Vince's qualifications, and hence, let me move this out of the way, hence the little graphic here that you kind of sort of took issues. As a matter of fact, let me turn, there we go, which most of you may have seen if you're watching the show. And let me remind everybody that political satire has a long history in free societies and especially in the United States. So remember, this is all political satire. They are public officials. The bar for what we can make fun of them about is much higher than a common, everyday peasant such as us.
Well, look, I don't know, and a lot of people are going to take offense. Probably Haygood. Let's give him the opportunity to call me deep state for the third time. I don't know that I can just agree with the. I mean, you're in a jumpsuit with jail bars behind you. Okay, I don't know that that accurately reflects the situation. And
Well, it doesn't at
I
the
don't know
current
that I
time.
agree with that.
Well, it doesn't at the current time. I mean, he's not. All right, so let me get this out of the way. Hold on. We got to do. All right. So he is not, at least as far as we know, Vince Maggio is not in jail at the current time. However,
or Darby.
Nor Darby, nor any of the recalcitrant five. However, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals took it upon themselves, not prompted by any of the attorneys, to mention that it, and let me be very careful in my words here, may be malfeasance in office, referring to the city council's refusal to follow the law, follow their charter. And also, I might point out, not follow Judge Parker Self's order to put it on the ballot. May be considered, may be construed, whatever, as malfeasance. We will see. That's up to whatever law enforcement, however all that is handled. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but if our local law enforcement thinks that it's okay to just one set of laws for one group and another set for elected officials, I don't know. That presents another problem, and I got a really good suspicion and that they're probably all going to run right out there and say, "Oh, vote for Vince. We are in favor of breaking the charter, not following the charter."
Well, here's the counter to that: is everybody has to let their friends and neighbors know, especially if you're in Vince's district. Gotta let everybody know this is what's going on. A lot of people, look, we have a very good reach overall in the last 4 or 5 years that we've built through the help of everybody with Bossier Watch, but we certainly, absolutely don't hit anywhere near all the voting public in Bossier City and Bossier Parish, for that matter. So it's up to y'all to do the legwork and make sure and amplify our voices from our soapbox every Tuesday night. It's up to y'all. Now, if you're for Vince, that's fine too. Let us hear in the comments.
Let us hear. I want to hear what you think "shall" means. I would love for you to define that for me. For all of you Maggio Darby supporters, what does "shall" mean? All of the rest of us are waiting. We want to hear it.
And not just that, I will reiterate, we've said time and time again, Vince, you're welcome to come on the show anytime. We'll give you the mic and let you get your spill out without saying a word, but be prepared for some non-softball questions, but you're more than welcome to come on the show just like any other elected official or appointed official in the city or parish that we make fun of. Or just simply point out what you guys do.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I understand Vince has two of the best attorneys around, and I don't know if that information is talking about the city attorneys or if that's talking about his personal attorneys. And I'm sure one of those is Juliana Parks, but if it's not the city attorneys, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. I was going to go down Vince's memory lane. I don't know if we really need to do that tonight, to be honest. I think I'm going to put together a series of videos, and kind of hit the highlights. I've been talking about doing that for a while, just hadn't had the time to do it. But I think I'll do a highlight, the best of Vince and the best of the good old boys.
My favorite was if I wasn't doing my job, I would quit. Well, again, define for me when it says you shall do this. I mean, that was your job. You didn't do it. So, I mean, are you going to quit?
Well, what? Let's go back down memory lane, because it's one of the few times Vince has actually spoken up at any of his council meetings. Let's see. Hold on. What was that about the 108 mark? I think.
Oh, I don't even remember, but I just remember the comments. I mean,
all right, so folks, just so y'all know, y'all can pull up this same exact video. It's the July the 18th, 2023 Bossier City Council meeting. It is a public meeting. So, yeah, let's go down memory lane and let's refresh ourselves with what Mr. Maggio had to say.
I've been in the city my whole life. We own one of the oldest stores in Bossier, 100 years old. I ran.
Oh no, hold on. Crap. Technical issue. Hold on, folks.
I don't think he said that.
Yeah, I don't think he did either.
The councilman got there. The mayor's was elected.
All right, here we go.
Look at Bossier City today. Why do you think everybody's moving here? Safety, clean, schools. That's where I ran to make it better. You know, I fight for my district. I work for my people. You know, every 4 years, it's a new term. If you don't like what I do, vote me out. If I wasn't doing my job good, I would quit.
Oh, where are you going to quit?
I love this people. And I love the city with my heart. I wouldn't be up here now if I didn't love it. And these men up here now, I'll tell you, I've been in business all my life. Well, you just look at Bossier City and look at the other cities. That's all I got to say. And this is my home, and I will fight for it. I would do the right thing for Bossier City.
Yeah, they're held to account.
Well, you just heard him.
They're held to account when they break the law. Look at the other cities. They're held accountable when they break the law, but not in Bossier City.
Right. He would do the right thing for his city. You heard him.
We rewarded in Bossier City.
Yeah. So, look, I don't know what kind of false information that is. It's Vince's own words, and you can look at his voting record along with the other members of the recalcitrant five. They repeatedly voted in open public meetings to break the law by not following their charter and then not following a judge's order. It's as simple as that. It is well beyond the term limits. It is about breaking or following the law, and they very publicly chose not to. It's as simple as that.
Well, he's not the only one. You know, I understand that Mr. Darby is out there, you know, beating the bushes, trying to get reelected. And I mean, he takes a lot of credit for a lot of things. And just this guy knows no end. I mean, he's a piece of work.
Yeah, he is. So let me get those screenshots pulled up. You give me just a second here. So I'm going to pull up the first one. So this is one of the door hangers from Jeffrey Darby. Let's see. What all is he taking credit for? Lifelong resident of Bossier and District 2, widower and father of 2 daughters. Okay, Master of Arts and BA from Louisiana Tech. Licensed professional counselor for marriages and families. He's a therapist. Youth minister. Hey, that's good. Business owners, vision integrated programs. I'm not really sure what they do, but okay, whatever. Independent, current Bossier City Councilman, District 2, past president and vice president. Well, I mean, that's good, but they rotate every year anyway, so you're going to get it, except for Chris Smith. Accomplishments that prove experience matters. Go ahead.
Okay, now bring up the next cuts with the Spanish version. Come on. I mean, is that Honduran? Is that Spanish or?
That's close enough. They speak Spanish.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah. Well, their dialect's different, but I want to see that one. That's the one I want to see. I guess he ain't putting that one out, is he?
I agree. Now, so accomplishments that prove experience matters. He's one of the councilmen that voted repeatedly against term limits and following the law. Oh, I'm sorry, he didn't put that. He put the only councilman who fought and voted against a 2% water and sanitation increase.
Okay, I don't think that is entirely accurate. We're going to have to do some fact checking right there on that one because so he's saying he's the only one that fought it?
He said, I'm the only councilman. Again, not misinformation. This is his door hanger. We're not making this up.
Well, okay. Just all I want to see is the part to where he was defending the cats and dogs being ate in his district. That's where I want to see.
Well, but Duke, he mentions right here in the next line, he says 2021 to 2023, $350,000 spent on a monument to tax dollars with all of our names surrounding it on a stupid roundabout that nobody wanted. I'm sorry. Oh, he said he spent it on streets and sidewalks projects and $2 million for sidewalks and other upgrades scheduled for 2025. Notice he didn't mention the damn Tower of Tax Dollars. Why would he not mention that? I think his name is on that thing. Why would he not mention that in his own door hanger? That's a major accomplishment.
What? Why didn't he mention about the overpass to Benton, and why didn't he mention about how much money the city's lost during his tenure to the Link Coleman lawsuit? There's a lot of things that he's just not putting on there for some reason. Memorable things. I mean, highest debt per capita. I understand it of any city in the state of Louisiana. I don't know that I see that in there.
Like, he's been a city councilman since, like, what, 91, 89, or 88? I don't know. Somebody correct me in the comments. A long time. Like, I was just out of high school.
I think when they created councilman, he was probably one of the first.
Yes, along with Moses. All right. This is an interesting one. Let's see. Street flooding on Hamilton Road underpass, subdivisions, Glendale, Coleman Park. Secured $4 million for the new senior center to be built in 2025 and 2026. Oh, this is it. Listen, look at this right here. Let me put the little finger deal right here. Authored the first signage topper to honor first responders. But I got to correct him. It might be the first signage topper to honor first responders, but it's darn sure not the first signage topper. Miss Ruth Pope Johnston brought that up at the last city council meeting, if I remember correctly, what the actual first topper was.
And I don't think there's a topper of any first responder within Bossier City. But, I digress. It is election time. And did he not author that or do that here just within the last couple of meetings? Because he knows that he has an opponent that is out there campaigning her butt off, working to represent the citizens of Bossier. It's almost as if, when he's encouraging the former president to bring more illegal aliens into our community, against the law. I mean, what is he going to do? Just trying to start supporting Donald Trump next week? Oh, that's right. He's got a resolution to, compliment Donald Trump. Now he wants to say that he's all on board with getting rid of all the illegal aliens. One week he's bring them all. Now he's, get rid of them all. I mean, and what changed?
Oh, well, and he skipped the meeting. He skipped the meeting for his own damn ordinance proposal. So Jeffrey Sadow corrected. Well, let's see. Let me put this one up first. Jeffrey Sadow says 1898, 93, 97 through 2025. I think that is correct, Sadow. He probably has been there since 1898. So, 89. Yeah, I thought that's the year I graduated high school. 1989. And I'm in my 50s.
Well, I mean, look, here's the thing. Once he gets that felony hung around his neck, along with his compadres, I mean, win or lose, he's out of there. So, you know what? He should have put at the bottom, potential felon, vote at your own risk.
Proposed salary study that led to pay increase for all city employees. Oh, I didn't know the pay increase. It was Darby that did it.
Well, it's a shame you didn't follow it because you threw it right out and went for a $500 across the board for everybody, even giving people that didn't need it a pay raise. Spending more money, but yet you're saving the city of Bossier tons of money. I mean,
hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Darby around when they laid off a bunch of cops in Bossier?
cops and firemen. I was there. You daggum sure did do it.
Oh, why didn't he put that on this door hanger? That's a major
Oh no,
accomplishment.
no. I mean, he should. I mean, he was there during all of that and mismanaged. And I mean, I can remember. Um, I can remember a lot, but we don't have enough time, and I don't want to run everybody off, so I'm not going to go there. But I can tell you, he can say all he wants that he's a friend of public safety. He's not a friend of public safety. Never has been. He's went right along. He has been a friend of certain council members to run roughshod over the city. That's what he has been.
But Dookie says right here he established and was the chair of the first responder committee to find funds to hire more police officers. Darby, you're welcome to come on the show too. I dare you. We'll give you the mic and mute our mics and give you 10 minutes. You can say all you want, but then you have to stay on and let us ask you a few select questions.
Won't happen.
All right. Miss Jerry says, I love Bossier Watch. We love you too, Miss Jerry. She loves the sarcasm, but the topic is so very sad. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I want to remind folks, and us talking about the illegal immigrant things, I want to make another point. And Rex, which councilman, when Alice Boyer tried to raise the issue to the council to have the council address the subject of illegal immigration in Bossier City, which councilman stood up and said, "I think we need to address that"? Do you remember Vince Maggio standing up and saying, I think we do need to address that? Do y'all remember that?
I remember that, but I don't remember anybody standing up and doing that. I remember them escorting Miss Alice Boyer out by the city marshals. And here is the letter.
So by your silence, I mean, I'm guessing that means you condone more refugees or whatever you want to call them to make you feel good. I guess you condone a problem with illegals or illegals being dumped within Bossier City.
It's hard to argue with that, but look, there you go. There's the letter. He signed on to it. It's, as of the beginning of the show, still online. He's the only person from Louisiana, the only elected official from Louisiana that has signed this form letter. And yet they still refuse to talk about it at the city council meeting. As a matter of fact, Miss Alice, correct me in the comments, but I think you tried to bring it up a second time. They tried to shoot you down then as well.
Kicked her out, silenced, and Vince went along with silencing the public and bringing things up. I mean, look, I get you want to have orderly debate and decorum, but, Vince had a choice. He said he was going there to represent the people, and, Darby checked out a long time ago about the people, but Vince had a choice. He said he was going there to represent the people, but when he got there, he didn't sign up for the people. He signed up with the other guys, the guys there. And at one point he said, I stand with y'all, talking about the councilman, not with the people. He said, I stand with y'all. That's what he said. It's on video at a council meeting.
I would like to bring up a good point. Miss Alice says we can't have felon names on monuments either. I wonder how, can we go over there with Sharpie marker and cross out their names if the DA ever does anything about this? Just a thought.
Well, I can't wait to see the vote for felon shirts in North Bossier or, Central Bossier or Darby's district. I mean,
yeah. Well, and look, I got to bring up a comment from Miss Jessica Langley Maddox and also from Haygood. No city councilman spoke against it. None, including our two favorites. That is correct. They could have spoken up.
Well,
I mean,
so, but Bossier City's not the only ones getting in on the illegal immigration and, not having a problem with it in our community. I mean, and I might point out that Bossier Parish is a majority Republican district. And honestly, this is bipartisan. It's not even a Republican issue. This crosses party lines because there is a whole lot of Democrats that feel the exact same way and feel strongly that illegal immigration is not in the best interest of our community, and they detest it. Case in point, the Bossier Parish School Board. I mean, I had no idea that you have non-citizen kids being allowed to come in and use resources in our schools, taking away from all of your kids. And you can't say it, they don't, because if they can't even speak English, I mean, the teacher, there's no way the teacher's able to manage that. She's got to teach a class in English, but then somehow or another she's got to figure out and navigate teaching someone that doesn't even speak English, or a kid. And why is all of that? If I understand the situation correctly, it's all so they can get federal dollars. It was all.
Yeah.
I mean, do we want our politicians to be representing the best interest of us, or just to be trying to get as much money as they can? However, I mean, it's almost as if the you said thing that, you're all good with giving the WEF money so that they can put the COVID thing on everybody and all this other crazy crap, or DEI. I mean, good grief. When is the school board and when is our elected officials going to stand up at some of these meetings and say, bull crap, we're not going to stand for this? But no, you put the money above, the issue and the anyway, go ahead. I'm stopping.
Oh, no, you're good. I just want to point out, because I've said it before on the show, and I think, but correct me, Duke, I think you mostly agree with me. Look, I'm all for immigrants. Legal immigrants. Our country was founded by immigrants, and I'm all for that. People that are being persecuted in their country. We have plenty of land mass here. Come in legally, follow our laws. The first thing that you do when you enter this country does not need to be violate our laws. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
So
no doubt about it. And there's a lot of immigrants that want to come here because the bottom line is, let's all face it. There's a lot of us that there's jobs and things that we won't do, that we don't want to do. Is it because we're smarter or anything like that? But it's just we move past some of those jobs. I'll give you case in point. Rex, Kara and I, we had a oil field service company. There were jobs that we had that, regular people just didn't want to do. But, the immigrants with green cards, and all of my people had green cards, all of them, when they came to work for us. And they would do the job. And I'm telling you, they were grateful to have the job. They worked their butt off, hardworking as can be, but they did it the right way. They had their work visas to be able to come over and to get a job and to do that. Mm-hmm. And I've got no problem with that. I've got no problem whatever. But like you said, all these people, raiding our border like they have, and our elected officials here locally are going to just throw in with all of it. No, that's not what any of us want. None of us have signed up for that. And for our school board and I think we got to show exactly what they did and what they said, and to put it into context.
Do we have it handy?
I thought I had put it in the folder.
Okay, let me double check. Let's see. I do not see it. No. Hold on. Let's see. Give me a minute.
Hang on.
So
I got it. I got it. It's in there now.
Okay. See, folks, we are amateurs. We keep saying this, but it is true. All right, yeah, here we go. Okay, give me just a second. Let me do a little clicking there. Let me get rid of Darby's crap. And let me drag this over here. So this is the letter that we're talking about, folks, and it may be a little hard to read, so I'm going to go through this. This was written on January the 28th, 2025. It says, Dear parents and guardians, again, from the Bossier Parish School Board. We at Bossier Schools recognize the growing fear and uncertainty among many of our families regarding rumors and news reports that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, otherwise known as ICE, agents may appear at schools, and we want to take this opportunity to address those concerns. First and foremost, we are unwavering in our commitment to fostering a safe, supportive, and inclusive environment for all students. We believe that every child deserves the opportunity to learn without fear and to feel valued and respected as members of our school community. While we recognize our diverse community includes a range of perspectives and beliefs, it is our responsibility to protect those rights as well as the dignity, safety, and confidentiality of every student. Kind of hard for me to get through this fluff. But anyway, here we go. Federal law provides strict guidelines on what information can be released by a school, which includes the privacy of students' education records and immigration status. Let me repeat that. Immigration status. Bossier Schools will seek to comply with that law and follow all other federal and state laws and district policy which provide guidance on who is allowed to contact students during the day. School is a safe haven for children, and we will follow all safety protocols and exercise every power available to us to ensure that our students' safety and protect their rights is afforded to them by federal law. Okay, so Roland, you're going to get, I can't stand this. You're going to get the SROs to stand up to the ICE agents who probably have bigger guns? I mean, literally, that might be what it comes down to. I mean, what are y'all going to do?
Well,
Are you going to try to enforce the no gun policy within 300 yards of a school? What are you going to try to do?
Well, he cites the federal. I mean, are you saying that schools are going to be a sanctuary place for illegals? I mean, that's kind of what I'm wondering here. But he's citing federal law. Last I checked, Trump's fixing to get rid of the Department of Education. I'm thinking that's the federal law you're talking about. What are you going to do then?
Well, is the Bossier Parish School Board literally advocating for teaching kids to disobey the law? Is that, I mean, I'm reading between the lines here, but that's not a stretch to say that.
And is the sheriff's deputies who are the school folks, are they enabling that?
I don't know. Are y'all going to live up to your oath to, uphold the Constitution and all the laws? What are you going to do? I mean,
maybe they've been sharing notes with Darby down there in Bossier City.
Oh, maybe so. All right. So, Bossier Schools will continue to work in partnership with our families and ask that you do the same. It is our firm belief that the best place for children to be is in the classroom to learn, with no break in their daily routine, and it is our mission to continue educating every student enrolled in the district. In times of uncertainty, it is more important than ever to lean on the strength of our community. Together we can ensure our students feel supported by their school community. We encourage our families to contact your child's principal if you have any concerns or questions. United in Education, Jason Rowland.
I mean, look, this is my problem with modern day education. I mean, bow up and fight the fight. I remember this on the COVID stuff. I truly believe that the decision making on COVID and you had a few folks, both of them are legislators now, that they're in the end, Bossier Parish School Board was the first one to take action regarding the COVID stuff, but before that they were all hamstrung because they have and I don't know, we have to check it, but they still have, I think, that firm or attorneys that were tied, and we showed it in one of our previous shows, tied to John Bill Edwards on the COVID stuff. And I would be willing to bet they've got the same attorney and firm that in my opinion has a left-leaning or liberal slant to them, guiding them on this and policy here the same. And I mean, I just, why can't we get local elected officials to stand on principle and fight? Case in point, Brian Hammonds. Brian Hammonds, you love him or hate him, but the one thing about it, you know what? He doesn't hold back.
No,
He
he
doesn't
doesn't.
hold back. He just lets it have it. And if these people on the school board, if they're all for illegal immigration and shielding, then by all means step up there and say it. But if you truly believe it's wrong and you think, say it.
Yeah.
Say it.
Yeah.
And I just not enough people are in local government and are just not stepping up to the plate and being a badass. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and look, I want to say this. To be honest, that whole letter from the Bossier Parish School Board, it's probably some grandstanding. There's several comments going by that the ICE agents aren't going into a school unless they're an adult. Honestly, that's probably true. And so I see that letter more as grandstanding than anything else. That's it. It's marketing. I mean, they may as well. What's that head cheerleader chick's name that works for the school board over there? Well,
the cheerleader. You talking about
the head cheerleader? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, her. She probably wrote that. They should have had her read it. Anyway.
Yeah,
I digress.
maybe so.
All right, Mr. Lowry. Do you have anything else that we shall ponder on tonight?
I don't know. I think, again, I would encourage people that if you know people that want to see the issue or question of whether or not the Calcatrant 5 in Bossier City committed malfeasance, and you want to see a jury of their peers make that determination rather than a politician, then you should sign that petition and make your voice heard. The more the merrier. I mean, we've got a lot already, and to everybody that's already signed it, thank you. We have them. We haven't turned them in yet because we still get a few every couple of days, and we need to kind of remind folks about it and make sure that people know we want resolution to this. We're not going to let it go away. We don't want our politicians to be able to have free reign to just be lawless, that they can disregard laws as they wish. And, the good thing about this, Rex, is we're going to get to see which other elected officials condone, breaking the law. We're going to get to see that.
Right.
It's going to be glorious. as that video said.
Oh, yes, it shall be.
Come crashing down and it's be biblical.
It shall be. Mr. Crockett is reminding everybody to like and subscribe. I would like to say like and subscribe. You can do the subscription thing if you want, or if not, look, you can consume the content for free. It doesn't matter. That does help pay for the software and all those cool toys that we use to do all this digital stuff and all that. If you want to go over to YouTube and watch us on YouTube or on X, you can do the same. If you go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Unlike the Bossier City Council, you will get notifications if you choose to on YouTube with our channel. So it's pretty simple. And of course, there's always Proton Mail. So if you want to make a comment anonymously or share some information, use Proton Mail, make your own account. Don't put any identifying information and send it to us at bossierwatch@protonmail.com or bossierwatch@gmail. And we do read those emails. As a matter of fact, got a couple of them I need to read and see if they're spam or see if they're legit emails.
All right, close it out. Close it out with our video. It's going to be biblical.
It's going to be biblical. We're out of here.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's got to be biblical.
We're out of here.